What's up, everybody?
What up, everybody?
It's another episode of Unturned Pages. We took a break last Sunday because we were at the Obscura Paracon.
We were actually at the Witches and Wellness.
Yes, the Witches and Wellness Expo. Sorry, in DeKalb, Illinois, helping out with Willie Atkins and Jenny's events, and it went really well. It was different being on the opposite side and not vending, but I really enjoyed it. I think everything worked out really smoothly, the way that Jenny and Willie had everything so coordinated, and I think everybody had a really good time. It was a good turnout. So on to the next one, and that is the Dark Arts and Oddities Con, November 14th and 15th. Same place, Altgeld Hall, DeKalb, Illinois. Definitely check it out. You'll see us there again. And, of course, Willie and Jenny. So, I don't know about you guys, but it's definitely hazy outside. I think Willie, Nelson, Cheech and Chong, Snoop Dogg, Wiz Khalifa, they are all out there puffing up somewhere because it's pretty smoky out there.
Yeah. You go outside, it's like, whoa, you can really smell it. And
yeah, you could definitely smell it.
It's as bad as when my wife sages my house.
I'm doing that right now, and he's like, "Who's smoking?" And I'm like, "I'm burning sage."
And she burns the sage, and you got to literally walk your way through the house because it's so damn thick.
But Jenny is having updates doing on her laptop. So she'll be hopping in when she can. But we do have another guest tonight. His name is Joe Shortridge. And he is going to be talking about his book that he came out with. He's an author. He is a podcaster, and he's had his experiences in the paranormal as well. Derek and I had the chance to meet him at the Rock Island Roadhouse Exoteric Expo in Rock Island, Illinois. Derek actually was on his podcast during that event. So without further, also we want to thank our sponsors, Willie Atkins, Breaking Fade Entertainment, Small Town Paranormal Productions with Larry Eifler. So thank you guys. Of course, we love you guys. We're going to go ahead and bring on Joe.
Hey.
How you doing, man?
Great.
Good.
I'm on your show.
Yeah.
Nice.
How the tables have turned.
Yes. They duct taped me to the chair, and now I'm on their show.
That's funny.
That duct tape looks a little loose. Your arms got free.
Well, let's start off by telling everybody who you are, where you're from, and where they can find you, kind of all that stuff. And
I'm me. I'm here. Right here. I'm Joe Shortridge. I am a podcaster. Me and my sister do the 222 Paranormal Podcast. We are in our 11th season. Been doing this for 10 years now. Been on probably, I'd say 60 different conferences. Speaking or just vending. And we have a weekly show. We talk about all things paranormal. And I'm an author of, I think I got 6 books out now. But a few of them we're going to talk about tonight. And just that. And I do have another podcast called The Year of Profit. That's about body, mind, and wallet. It's a self-help podcast. It's doing okay. Not as good as the 222 Paranormal Podcast. One thing I'm proud of with the 222 podcast is that we are ranked in the top 3% of all podcasts worldwide. And we're trying to get to that 1% so we can start making some money.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. That's a feat. Congratulations.
So, yeah, for sure. I'm just kind of interested. Where did you come up with the name 222?
A couple different reasons. One, it's been a number that's coming up in me and my sister's life in the weirdest places. one of the things that I travel with a band, and we were doing a show down in Cave in the Rock, Illinois. Just for an example, is we had to go to where the show was, and in the middle of the road was this tractor with giant 222 on it. Plus, we see 222 everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked it up in numerology. It means that if you see 222 a lot, you know that you're on the right path. Also, it's my sister's birthday, February 22nd. So when we're thinking about doing the show, we're like, well, why don't we just name it 222? It's catchy. It's easy to remember. And it's my sister's birthday.
That's awesome. How fitting, though. It really does. It's catchy.
Yeah. And it's one of those things. Yeah. I mean, I understand that your brain notices patterns. That's why a lot of people have numbers that they see a lot of. But a lot of times when you start seeing a number over and over and over, it's more than just that.
Right.
More than just your articulated, I forget the name of it now, but the articulated reflex system in your brain, it deletes everything that you don't need to listen to or don't need to remember. But seeing 222 all the time, I think that just means that you're on the right path. And that's one of the reasons why we did it.
That's awesome.
And then it seems that you are on the right path because you said you're in the top 3% of podcasts.
Yeah.
And I have the honor of being on one.
That's right. Yeah. You know, me and my sister bust butt and travel all over the country doing this, you know, and now that she has about 30 books out, I have a few out. We're starting to do more in other things besides paranormal. Like we have a craft show coming up. And we're selling our books at craft shows and stuff like that. And August 1st, we're in Mortuary Manor here in Toledo at a book fair. So it kind of opens it up to a different crowd, you know?
Yeah. I have just one question. I'm probably asking this too soon. But I'm just kind of interested. And could you give us two pieces of advice to what makes a good podcast? You've been doing it for quite a while. You're going around all the country. 2 pieces of advice of what somebody who's looking into making a podcast or doing a podcast, what would you give them for a piece of advice?
I'd say learn to listen. And a lot of people are like, what? Learn to listen. No, when you do your show, as you're interviewing people or as you're doing your podcast, you're listening to them talk, but you really need to listen to them instead of thinking about your next question. Stuff like that. One of the biggest thing and the most important thing you have to remember as a podcaster is hit record. I've done it where you don't hit record. And I say the third most important thing is to go to Amazon and look at my book, From Zero to Podcaster. It'll teach you all about it.
Oh, okay.
After we do the show, give me your address. I'll send it to you.
Awesome. Thank you. We'd love that. Appreciate
Really,
it.
you know, everybody has different styles. You know, whether you're going to be on YouTube or audio, which we're mainly an audio show, but there's different ways of doing things because of how you want to do it. I mean, even if you have a podcast that's audio and video, well, then you have to, edit it for both.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so you just do different things. It comes, the more you do it, the more you learn. And we're still learning as we're doing it. You know, I'm still learning to edit, even though I've edited over 700 hours of shows. I'm still, so you never stop learning. And I said, Paranormal XL's in the chat here. Gigi is awesome. That's another podcast you guys should listen to. Maybe it's Gigi on the show, but she has came to me and said, man, I learned so much from you. And I'm like, no, I've learned from you, so that's how it is. We learn. We're a community. We share each other's knowledge and, I'm an open book. I'm always learning.
That's awesome. That's just like the paranormal, paranormal investigating. We collaborate. We like collaborating with others. And then, we see people with different pieces of equipment, different ways that they use other pieces of equipment that are the same as ours and stuff. And just the techniques and
the approach,
Yeah.
of how they pursue their investigations, because a lot of people, which I'm guilty of, question after question, and it's so just very standard. Like, are you there? How many of you are there? Are you male? Like, let's think outside of the box when we're doing this. Let's get to like maybe what was their favorite color, what was their favorite food when they were alive, or this or that, But
Well,
I've always
like listening,
yeah,
like podcasting, actually listening to who you're speaking with.
And I've always said, when you're doing an investigation, act as if you're talking to them, because you are. I mean,
right.
act if they're in the room with you, looking at you, because you wouldn't walk into a room full of people. And I've done this at a class I did. Walk into a room, and this happened to me at an investigation too. This kid who I won't mention, but I walked into the classroom, slid the REM pod across the floor, and started screaming, "Light up those lights! Light up those lights!" And I got in, right into someone's face. And I'm like, "Light those lights up," as if they're not standing in front of me. But that's the way you got to treat the spirits, as if they're standing in front of you, and you got to talk to them with respect, and you'll find that you'll capture more EVPs and stuff when you're just having a conversation, other than saying, "Tell us how you died." They don't want to talk about that.
Right.
Yeah.
They may mention it, but they want to have conversations. I mean, doing my research into the books and stuff, and doing the research I've done for years, I know that when you're on the other side, you just want to be talked to like normal. I mean, some of them don't even realize they're past. So if you come into a room and you walk into a room full of people and start screaming, "Light up that light," they're all going to look at you and go, "Well, no, why the hell would I do that?"
Yeah.
No.
And why would they want to talk about how they died?
Yeah. Another thing too, you have to think about when the spirits live that you're talking to. You're not going to go up to someone you're trying to talk to in the 1700s and say, "Come touch this light," because they're used to candlelight.
Right.
And they're not going to touch the light, or they're going to think that you're witches or something like that. And you have this thing. They don't know what it is. So I always say, in our time, this is how we communicate. This is something we made. It's not magic. It's just something we made.
Right.
With you.
Yeah. Sometimes I try not to call a tripwire because they don't know tripwires.
Yeah.
So I try to catch myself and I say, okay, if you can see this purple ambient light sitting directly in front of me or on the floor, can you go towards it to answer our questions? I just try to say, okay, it's like purple, because I don't know what these spirits can actually see, through their vessel or whatever. And so I try to at least, think of that kind of stuff, but
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we don't even know how they hear us. Now, I do know that, like for Miranda Young, the ghost biker, she did something where she took a whiteboard and didn't say anything. She wrote the questions on the whiteboard and held it up.
Oh, wow.
She was getting responses. So that's something else that we could do to figure out how these spirits see us, how they communicate with us. Because for all we know, we may sound just like they do on the ghost box, where we only heard bits and pieces of them.
Yeah.
They might hear pieces of us. We don't know.
A friend of mine, he did something with a whiteboard also. He drew pictures on it, and using his spirit communication that he was using, he asked them, "Can you tell me what this is that I drew on this?" And they actually could say what it was.
That would be a really fun experiment. I haven't done it personally, but I'd love to try to do something like that. It would make it fun too. I mean, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you would learn so much.
Right.
Because that's what we're here for, to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah. I know Jenny was asking, what got me into podcasting. When me and my sister started our show, I was into UFOs and stuff like that. I wasn't really into the paranormal side, or should I say the ghosty side. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes when we talk about the book. But I was into the other, the UFO side of it. my sister just got done doing an investigation with the Ghost Adventures crew at the Ohio State Reformatory.
Mm-hmm.
She's
Oh,
like, "You're into podcasts. I'm into ghost hunting. Why don't we put out a show?" And I did some research, got some equipment, the same exact equipment I'm using 11 years now. And July 4th, we had a party at her house, and me and Jen were like, we got to go down to the basement and record. So we went down and did our first show. And so basically that got us into podcasting. I got into the ghosty side of it because of my shared death experience with my best friend, Jackie.
Wow.
so your best friend Jackie and you both had a near-death experience, or you experienced it together at the same time?
Not a near death experience. It was a shared death. Now, okay, let me go back.
Okay.
Way back, way back when I was younger and thinner and had bags. So me and my best friend Jackie did everything together. We were like soulmates. We weren't lovers. We were soulmates, best friends. You couldn't separate us. A good example is when MTV came out. She was in Florida at Disney World or Disneyland, whichever one it is. And back then, the landline, you had to call long distance. I had her hotel number, of course. MTV came on, and I'm like, MTV. So I
Yeah.
just, and back then we still had to pay long distance. So I'm like, Ma, can I call Jackie? And she's like, yes, of course, So I called Jackie, and her line was busy. I'm like, it's busy. And I hung up the phone, and it rang. I picked it up. She's like, MTV. I'm like, yeah. So we did everything together. I mean, we were inseparable. And it's almost 8, 9, maybe 10 years ago now, I was at work, and I was working second shift at the time. So I get off work, I go to Kroger's. I'm walking out of Kroger's, and my phone rings. I'm like, that's a number I don't recognize. I pick it up, and it was Jackie's sister. And she says, did you hear about Jackie? I'm like, no. She told me last night she was going to Cleveland because she had a double lung transplant. And every year she had to go for a test where they put a tube down your nose into your lungs, put a little fluid down there, pull it out, and check the fluid for, any kind of things that aren't supposed to be there. So that's the last I heard of her. But one weird thing is, about a month before that, she started messaging me and calling me constantly. And she's like, hey, Joe, I get online. Hey, Joe, and I'm like, after a while, I was like, leave me alone, But she went for this test. And what they did was they put the tube in. They went to put the fluid in, and I think they pumped air into it.
Oh.
And it blew her lungs up. Okay. And she had what's called a pericardial tamponade. And that's where the heart gets crushed. Now, you don't see that often anymore because of airbags, but it used to be where if people get hit by the steering wheel, it crushes the ribs and causes a pericardial tamponade. That's what she had. So she was on life support. So her sister's like, have you heard about Jackie? I'm like, no. And she's like, well, she's on life support, and they don't think she's going to make it through the night. And being the loving, caring friend that I am, I was like, okay, well, keep me informed. And I hung up and went home. And I'm like, wait a minute. What did I just hear? So I got in the car and I drove to Cleveland, which is a 2-hour drive. Got to the hospital. She was on life support. They basically wasn't sure if she was going to make it. So we were all in the hospital. And later on, everybody's like, okay, what's going on? So I'm like, I got to go because I got to go to work tomorrow. I'm like, why? I'm looking back. I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? But, and so I went home, went to work. It was probably, I'd say 6 o'clock in the night. I'm on the forklift, phone rings. I pick it up, and it's Jackie's sister. And she's like, well, they're going to stop all machines, basically pull the plug in a half hour. I'm like, okay. I said, I'm on my way. So my boss was there. I told my boss, I'm going. I said, I got to go. which I probably sound like, oh, there we go, but I get off the forklift. I know I'm not going to make it to the hospital in time because Cleveland is a 2-hour drive from Toledo. So I'm like, okay, I know I'm not going to make it. So I come home, I get out of my dirty clothes, I take a shower real quick, get in the car and start heading there. And I'm a wreck. I'm a total mess because here's my best friend dying or already dead. And I'm driving to Cleveland. One, I'm a blubbering idiot because my best friend's dying. Two, my other friend, Debbie, is texting me, wanting to know what's going on, how are you doing, all that kind of stuff. So I'm driving as I'm almost in tears, texting while I'm driving, and I'm sure I wasn't going the speed limit. Not a good combination.
Right.
But I get to Norwalk, Ohio, which is halfway. Now, I always like to say it as, imagine if someone took a heating element out of your oven, a red hot, and put it over your head and just waved it down your body. Okay, that hot element, that line of heat going down your body. And that's what I felt. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, what's going on? It was the weirdest feeling. I felt that go all the way down, out my arms, out my fingertips, and then down my legs, out my toes. The second that happened, I was perfectly fine, just like I am now, as if nothing happened. And I'm like, okay. And as I was doing the research for the book, I realized that even though that only happened about 10 seconds, there was a lot of stuff that happened in that time, almost like an out of body experience. But I didn't realize it until I was doing the book, that different things happened. Like I wasn't in control. I looked around. I'm driving, but in that few seconds that I don't remember till I did the book, it was almost like I wasn't even touching the car. Okay. Saw that happen. And I'm driving. I'm fine. I even text Debbie. I'm like, something happened. And she's like, what? She thought I got in a wreck. And I'm like, I just had this weird feeling. I'm perfectly fine now. And she's like, okay, good. I'm glad you're feeling better. I get to the hospital and I see Jackie's husband, and he's standing. I'm like, hey man, what's going on? He says they disconnected all the machines about an hour ago and they don't know how she's alive. And he's like, do you want to see her? And I'm like, yeah. So I walk in the room and the only thing that's left running is a heart monitor. And I walk over and I touch her hand and the heart monitor alarm's out. So I picked up her hand and she passed away at that time. So a lot of people say she waited for me. I'm like, okay, yeah. Well, I didn't think nothing of it, but that happened at that time. And me and her went through EMT class together. So here I am. I got her hand in my hand and I'm squeezing it, seeing what will happen. Because, I'm morbid that way. But the heart machine's going off and, nurse came in and she's like, oh, she just passed. We're all standing around. And I'd say 2 hours went by and we're like, okay, let's all meet at mom's house, her mom's, the next day. So we all went home. I drove home. I don't remember the drive home, but I don't think that's paranormal. I just think that's, other thoughts. I get up in the morning and I get in my car to go over there, turn on the radio or turn on the car, and the radio comes on. And it's REO Speedwagon. And now I look down and it's on a station I never listened to out of Detroit. And I hear this, heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard. Now, REO Speedwagon, High Infidelity, Jackie wore out the tape. She wore out the CD. She wore out the album. She drove me insane playing that song over and over and over and over. So I didn't really think, I was like, wow, this is weird. But since then, I've had so much communication with her through Spirit Box, through, going to the places and that song will come on, or I'll think about her. I'll walk into a store and that song's on or stuff like that. couple examples of that is I was at work and I'm thinking about, oh, should I go home and work on the book or should I work on the show? Just as I thought that, 3 machines down, I hear the radio, heard it from a friend who heard it from, I'm like, okay, I'm going. You know, I'm going to work on the book, you know, and just dreams, stuff like that. I remember my first dream was like the 3rd night after she passed. I'm having a dream. I see her in my dream. And you think, oh my God, I see her in my dream. What wisdom is she going to say to me? Or what? I just looked at her and said, last time I saw you, you were dead. And she just smiled at me. And that's all I remember of that dream. But that's the thing is communication through dreams and music and all that happen all the time. Another good example is I do sensory deprivation tanks, which is a float session.
Oh,
It's-
yeah.
It's basically an egg that you get into with a
Love
foot
it.
of, and you float. Complete darkness, complete silence. So I'm
Yeah.
doing that. And I get out, I go to my car and I pick up my phone and my sister left me a message. Hey, we're at JoJo's. Come on over. I'm like, okay, I'll go over to JoJo's. And so I go there and one of my friends, God love her, she's a sweetheart, but she likes to talk about the same stuff over and over and over. And she's there and she starts talking about this story that I've heard like 1,000 times. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm so sick and tired of the same old story. Just as I thought that, the jukebox comes on, which hasn't played all night, REO Speedwagon. So
Oh my
tired of the same old story. I'm like, all right, I'm leaving. Jeez.
That's funny.
Yeah. But it
Wow.
happens all the time. And that got me into the ghosty side of it. I wanted to know what happens after we pass. And 11 years later of doing research and studying, you know, I should say 10 and a half years because it took me 3 years to write the book. And it's
Yeah.
only like 98 pages, but I really put my heart and soul into it because what happened. And I've got other examples of people that had shared death experiences also. And the big thing between like a near death experience and a shared death experience is when the person is dying, someone that is living shares in what happens during that. Now, mine, I didn't really call it a shared death experience at first until I started talking to people and they're like, no, you had a shared death experience. You felt what she felt. And I really came to think of that when I had a kidney stone and they had to give me the hose and the laser and they gave me an epidural and morphine, and that's exactly what it felt like. So I'm thinking that I felt what she did when they disconnected all her medications. You know?
Wow. Yeah. I was around my I'm sorry. It's random. She never really pops in here.
Puppy.
Gotta get down, honey. Come on. I was around both my grandmothers when they passed away. And they passed away within 8 months of each other. It was my
Okay.
mom's mom and then my dad's mom. And so both sides, you know, and you just like it. I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know if you've ever been around somebody who's taken their last breath ever.
I was there when my resident died.
Yeah. But don't you like feel this shift in the room? Like,
It's quiet. Like there's nothing else. Like it's just like a bubble that you're in.
Mhm.
I feel like, and everything else is just standstill kind of.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories is it's in the book, but it's not one of my stories. It's someone, you know, gave me permission to use it. The family was all around in hospice, and two of the women, the daughters, were standing next to the bed. And as the dad took his last breath, all of a sudden, one of the daughters says that she popped out of the room. She's like, all of a sudden, I was in this tunnel of light, and there was Dad. He was walking with me, and that's why I used the picture that I did, because it was one of my favorite stories. So she was in the hospital or the hospice room, and all of a sudden, she was in this tunnel of light, and she felt unbelievably happy. All this stuff, the same stuff you hear about, near-death experiences. She did all that, and she wasn't dying. And her grandfather was there walking with her, and he looked at her and said, "It's so beautiful." And then they spent probably 20 to 30 minutes, she said, on the other side. And
Wow.
he got to the barrier, because there is a barrier that you get to. And she said, he looked at me and said, "I'm happy now." And he walked in the light,
Oh,
and
wow.
next thing she knows, she was back at the hospice room, and she's like looking around, what the heck just happened? And there's my sister. So she felt that, and she never said anything to anybody. And about a year later, she went up to her sister and said, "Man, when Dad died, or I can't remember, it was a grandpa or whatever, but I'll say Dad. When Dad died, I felt this weirdest thing." And she explained to her sister what happened. She's like, her sister was like, "I've never told anybody this, but I had the exact same experience."
Oh, wow.
And so there were two people in the room that experienced the same thing, but didn't see each other. There's two separate incidences that happened at the exact same time. In real life, it was, other people in the room said, "No, you guys didn't look any different." But they experienced that. And that was one of my favorite stories. And that's what happens during shared death experiences, is different things happen. Like the room will start smelling like roses, or it gets super bright, or people will see the person like aura coming out of their body. And I know Jenny does aura photography. That's kind of like it. They see that aura all of a sudden around the body.
Yeah. It's
And
interesting because I was just going to mention that my uncle said that he saw the aura leaving my grandma when he was explaining to me that night that he just knew that it was coming, and he saw that.
Yeah,
Do you-
there's things that happen.
Do you think that it's possibility of this is also a psychic connection between you two, because you guys were so close that you were able to feel
It could
everything?
be. I don't say I'm psychic at all. I'm about as psychic as a rock. But maybe. I just think that when you have such a connection with someone, you can experience this kind of thing. And like I said, before she passed, I think she knew, because she started messaging me. Every time I would get online, just a second later, she'd be online saying, "Hey Joe, and then or I'll go somewhere and the phone will ring, it'll be her, and so I think she knew. But I think that if a person is gonna pass, they may know, but they won't say it to anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
I think they have a gut feeling that something's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know in hospice, stuff like that, it's a lot different, because, there's different phases of death during hospice. You can tell if a person has a month or a week to go because of the different things that they do.
Right.
But one of the things too, and I don't know why it just popped in my mind, but there's something called terminal lucidity. And what that is someone that is about to die. Let's say this person is bedridden, has not been conscious for a month. All of a sudden, this person will sit up and talk normal, like they've never been sick. And that happens a lot just before people pass. It's
Mhm.
called terminal lucidity. So if you see that happen, okay, it's about time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never heard of that before
Mhm.
or that term. So that's very interesting. And that's something new that I learned.
Yeah. Another thing is, and this helps a lot for people that have someone in hospice, that there's a thing called the reach. And there's the patient will be laying there, and all of a sudden they'll start reaching up or looking in the corner and talking to someone. Because when we pass, we're never alone. Our loved ones are always there. And that's one thing that they talk about is the reach. Someone, oh no, sorry, Derek. But you know that when you pass, you won't be alone.
Yeah. When you were talking about, I wanted to go back to the dreams.
Okay.
So sometimes I'll have dreams about people that have passed on, and then I realize that, okay, it wasn't a dream because it felt so real. Like we were either having a conversation or, and I was like, this is so weird because my resident that passed away when I came in, and we tried CPR and everything, but I knew he was gone. And it was just so weird. I was dreaming and I was like, he was there. He was sitting in a chair, not his wheelchair. He's like, what are you doing here? Like I was visiting wherever his spirit is now. I was like,
Yeah.
it was so cool. And my great aunt that died in a crash,
Mhm.
it's been years since she passed, and she came and she visited me in my dream. I was like at her house. It wasn't like her house, but my grandparents and us, we would always go over there and visit her. They would play cards and talk. She'd have her birds and stuff, and she had the birds. And she was like, "Hi, Alicia," and it was so cool to see her.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
when you were like, my grandfather just passed away like 4 months ago,
Okay.
and my cousin was in the room with them and just stayed there every day. And the night of, I went there kind of just to be with them, said a little prayer. About a half hour later, he passes away.
Mhm.
And I just remember them telling me that my grandfather had no strength really, but
Mhm.
he left his hands in the air and he said my grandma's name.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people say, "Oh, that's so sad," and that, but no, that's a beautiful thing. That's understanding.
He saw her, he's like, I'm coming home,
Yes, exactly.
They couldn't explain it, but what we see before we die is something that we'll never, be able to actually live. Maybe some of us when we, near death experiences and then they come back, but
Right.
other than that, like, you just don't know until it happens.
Yeah.
And then, it's like,
I mean, we don't, as paranormal investigators, we don't even know what's on the other side.
right,
Mhm.
scientifically.
We won't know till we know. You know what I mean? We won't know till we're there, and then
Right.
we're all gonna hunt all our friends, and we're gonna
Yep.
be all our friends.
Yeah.
Like
sometimes-
I've been telling people, like, when I die, y'all go on an investigation. I'll come and haunt your asses.
Like, flick them in the head.
like, sometimes I think about wanting to know what people how is the reactions going to be. And I don't know if this is a selfish thing for me to think or if anybody else has ever thought this in the world. Probably. Like, how would people react? What would they say, when I die? Because you're not going to know.
Yeah.
But, like, tell me now, like, while I'm alive. Hey, Derek, just want to let you know, have a good day, and you're doing great for your family, this, that. Don't tell me, don't just do it in after I'm dead.
Yeah.
Like, don't show me remorse after I'm passed away. Like,
Mhm.
like, I think we should all do that. We should all, give each other compliments and how, we're doing, and go reach out to a loved one and just, see how they're doing.
Yeah, especially because it's like the phone goes both ways, and
Yeah.
you never know.
And then you wait
when
till
it's gonna be
someone
the last.
dies to like reconnect or to be there. Like, like if I'm gonna pass away, you could have,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm better now, but it's just,
And
I
it's
hear a
it's like dreams. I've
yeah,
had so many dreams with Jackie in them. And the thing is, you think, well, okay, she's on the other side. She's going to tell me all about what it's like there, but they don't really.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
sometimes they'll say it's beautiful, it's that. And the thing is, with Jackie, she was deaf. So when in my dreams now, and I've noticed this consciously, that when we talk to each other, her lips don't move because she ended up having a cochlear implant, which is to where they can actually put a thing on your head. And she had the old ones where it had the battery. So I always knew when her battery was going dead because she would start staring off. And I'm like, hey, battery. Or I'd shut the light off. She'd fall over, because she had no balance. I'm loving like that. But anyhow, our dreams are just normal dreams, normal stuff. We don't say, what's it like on the other side? Like one of my dreams I had of her, we were sitting in a 67 Lincoln Continental convertible with suicide doors. I think it was that car because I had the BB King CD and that's what's on the cover. Because your brain picks up things in the room and makes them into dreams. But we were in that car and we were laughing because we were making her sister and her brother go in the store and get pop for us. That's one of my dreams.
mm-hmm.
So they were just normal stuff. It wasn't like, her coming in and saying, it's like this, it's like, or, because lots of people talk about that, where they talk about dreams and visitation dreams, or I can't think of the other term, but it's where they talk about what it's like on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
or they tell you to be careful. That was one near or shared that the experiences someone had was he got a message from his mother who passed in one of the dreams, and she just said, be careful. And he went to visit his dad, and his dad had dementia and pulled out a knife and was trying to stab him.
Oh, wow.
Well, if he didn't have that dream from his mother saying, be careful, he wouldn't have been on edge. Who knows what might have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about shared death experiences because they're more common than near-death experiences. Now, I've talked to a lot of people that have had near-death experiences, and a lot of it correlates, but the big difference is the person that experiences shared death experience comes back, to where the other person doesn't.
Right.
So I had a near-death experience, and I'm just now talking about it this year because I don't know why it hit me. I just kept wondering. I remember that time, and I don't remember what happened after I saw that light. And I just remember hearing my mom screaming my name and saying no. And I was like, what happened to me? Did I die? Like, what did I don't remember going to the hospital. I don't remember I don't remember coming back to it. And then Christina Bloom, she's a friend of ours, psychic, and she does regression therapy. So she walked me through it. My body was dying, tried dying 3 times. And she told me my mom, she called poison control, and she put a wet cold washcloth on the back of my neck and on my chest. And she watched me. She laid me on the couch, and she ended up calling somebody. I think it was probably my grandparents or somebody, but yeah. And it just kind of makes sense as to why I'm like, I was always intrigued into the paranormal when I got older and started having experiences, because I was near death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do the people that you spoke with, do they mention seeing a bright white light?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's different phases. Like there's like 5 phases of what happens when you experience like a share or a near death experience, and it's about the same. But there's a thing called the boundary, and 99% of these people that have shared death experiences get to that boundary and they can't go any farther, because even in near death experience or near death experiences, you come to that boundary. It could be speaking with the higher power and them saying you have to go back or stuff like that. But I think that when people experience the shared death experience like the girl did in the hospice room, she got to that barrier, she couldn't go any farther. And I'm thinking, well, I wonder what would happen if they did. I mean, would they pass away too, even though they had no symptoms? Because at that point that's the barrier, you know?
Right.
Oh, but they experience a lot of different things, whether it is the lights in the room, whether it's seeing a mist figure come out of the body, whether it's, you know, having the experience of walking down the tunnel of light. I had one person tell me that they actually saw the person's life review. And but all that stuff aside, they get to a certain point where they can't go any farther. And they always pop out of it. And, you know, along with that is like phone calls from the dead. There's so many times where a person will get a phone call from a patient. One of the stories is there's a nurse and she went to the person's house and the person wasn't verbal, but she did take care of this person for months. So she was talking to him before he went nonverbal. And he was basically in a coma. Well, she's driving.
Wow.
The phone rings and there's no number there. So she answers it. And it's that guy saying, "It's so beautiful. If I would have only known." And she's like, "Okay." And she knew about terminal lucidity. So she's like, "Well, maybe that's what that was." He hangs up. She calls the nurse, and the nurse says, "No, he passed away about 20 minutes ago."
Oh my God.
You know, so there's
Oh my
such
God.
phone calls from the dead
Wow.
that get, you know, when the person passes or even after. I've heard of so many stories where people look at their phone even like a year later. And I'm working on a show on that. I've got a lot of info together for an episode of that. But there's people that get phone calls from people that have passed a while ago, and they'll either just hear static or they'll hear the voice in like a far away going, "It's so beautiful. I understand now," and stuff like that.
Wow.
Wow.
Those are some.
My dad's best friend's wife passed away
Oh yeah. Within the year.
within the last year.
Mhm.
And you know, she had health issues and things like that, you know, and so it was sort of kind of expected, but not really. And anyway, so he woke up, found her passed away when, you know, laying next to him, and did his thing, you know, took care of all that stuff that same day. And at night, when he went to go either to bed or something, he gets this text message
Mhm.
from his wife that I don't know if it went through or she tried texting and it didn't go through, and then it finally did. But he said it was the weirdest thing, Derek, because it was a heart emoji
Okay.
on a message of his. And he still.
And was that from his wife's phone?
That was from her phone.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I have been so tempted, and I'm not going to do it, but I've been so tempted to call Jackie's cell phone.
Oh
it's-
yeah.
10 years. So I'm sure somebody else has it, and somebody's going to answer that number. And I'm like, I'll freak out.
Yeah. You know, it's weird because like my grandmother still has her phone number, and I'm not quite sure if somebody else has it, but I think I might have called it once just to hear her voicemail or something.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I still have her number on my phone, but I don't know if you know, if somebody else has it or not. But yeah, I've got videos of my grandma when I was playing pranks on her, getting her going. I still listen to them from time to time, and we kind of reminisce, and I'll show, some family when we're just random, but it's nice to kind of hear their voice,
Right.
The
Well-
strangest thing happened to me. Oh, I'm sorry, Jenny. Go ahead.
There's a movie on Netflix I watched on the way back from. No, I watched it on the way to Chicago, I think.
Mhm.
I'm trying to see if I can pull it up. It's like voicemails to Jackie or something, and
Okay.
it's like literally what you guys are talking about. Like she calls this phone number of her dad's sister to hear her voicemail thing, and leaves her voicemails as if she was still living. And then some guy got that phone number and kept getting these calls. And then he finally tracked her down, and it was like just like what you guys are talking about. I'm trying to figure out if I can find it. But it's a really good movie. It's a
Mhm.
Joe, you were beginning to say something a minute ago.
It's sort of like EVPs. I sent that one to Jenny.
yes, I have it. Hold on, I have it pulled up.
Okay.
Let's see.
So let me build this up. Like I said, there's been so many times where I'll get online and Jackie will type in, hey Joe. And I guess I was kind of rude because I'm like, what? Leave me alone, But me and my sister were recording one of our episodes, and we have EVPs happen to us all the time when we're recording our shows.
Yeah.
And we get done with the show, we do our closer, and I'm sitting in the studio now. I got the table turned sideways right now, but usually I'm on the side table, Jen's on the other side of the table, and on my side, I've got my back to the window, straight ahead, which will be over here right now, but straight ahead is my art gallery, and then it leads out to the house from the studio here. And I see this blue light. I'm like, Jen, I just saw blue light. So she grabbed the spirit box and she grabbed her phone, and we captured this EVP. If you want to play it, Jenny, go ahead.
Yep, I'm gonna try. Here, hold on
All
one
right.
sec. Let's see if it works. Let me
Okay.
make sure volume is up. Should play.
Whose house am I in right now? I'm trying to confirm that you know who lives here.
Nah, it didn't work.
Did that work? You didn't hear
No.
it?
Nope. Let me try it on my end.
Yeah, try it on your end.
Okay.
I don't know why it's not letting me do it.
All right.
Whose house am I in right now? I'm trying to confirm that you know who lives here.
It's Jackie.
That is the best
Jackie.
Class
Yeah.
A EVP I've ever captured
Wow.
right here in the house. And I played that for her mom, and her mom's like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah. It's
It's something that when
and
and
you think, what are the chances of random radio station playing her voice saying, hey, Joe?
yeah, and essentially, you
Mhm.
said she was deaf. Could she speak?
Yeah, she had her cochlear implants. Now, when she was growing up, she wasn't deaf. She was deaf in one ear, and then eventually she started going deaf in the other ear.
Okay.
So there was a time where, and it was the weirdest thing talking to her, when she was completely deaf. And we used to have to use the phone before there was texting, we would have a phone, and I would actually call a number, and the person would type out what I said to her. That was the weirdest thing. I'll never try it. But so then she got cochlear implants. So she did hear.
Okay.
So that's just like you were talking about, like people passing away that have had, like my resident, he was wheelchair bound. Well, he wasn't when he came to visit me in my dream, and now she is able to hear your sister ask that question because she responded. So obviously she can hear now.
they always say that, and I've seen this too, and it goes into the ghosty side of it too, is when you're on the other side, you're at your best point in your life, health wise, body wise, stuff like that. Because you can choose. It's not like when you go over there, you're still going to be deaf and that. Because think about it, we talk to spirits, and even we'll take pictures and have spirits in them where they were in car wrecks, so they don't look like they do when they were in the car wreck when they passed. They look at like the best that they were. And I strongly believe that they can, when we pass, we can choose what we want to look like and how we want to show ourselves to people.
I remember seeing this either picture or a video of this man who had just got into this car crash. He died, and you could see it was like a light figure, but completely standing up and leaving the body.
Yeah. That happens. I've talked to hospice nurses where they'll come into a room, and this isn't one of the stories. I'm kind of making this up as I go because I want to explain how this happens. Is they'll walk into a room, and I'll just say the person's sitting in the chair, but she looks over and the body's in the bed. So who's this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how, like, if we see spirit in photos or stuff like that, I believe that they can project themselves however they want us to see them.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah. Because, I've had my one and only, I want to say, time when I was scared. Everybody says, I always tell people, I don't get scared. I spent the night in prison. Jenny does the same thing. We spend the night in insane asylums. We spend the night in prisons, all that. And me and my sister were doing a convention in Butler, Pennsylvania, and we always end up at the cemeteries. And I asked someone, is there a good cemetery around here? And someone's like, you got to go to the Black Cross. I'm like, Black Cross, what's that? So back in the 1700s, I believe, when the cholera or the yellow plague came through, yellow fever.
Yeah.
A lot of the railroad workers passed away in this town, and the local church wouldn't allow them to be buried in their cemetery. So this farmer is like, you can take my land, bury them there. And what they did was they took a railroad ties and made a big cross. That's why it's called the Black Cross. Now, if you look it up online, all you see now is the historical plaque. And when we were there, it was just like if someone took a cement 5-gallon bucket filled with cement, flipped it over. That's the only thing that was there.
Oh, wow.
So we're in the woods, and the Oz effect happened. Everything went dead silent. No birds, no wind, no even walking. You couldn't hear yourself walk. And that's called the Oz effect. That's where everything just went dead silent. Now, before that, we were hearing babies crying. We were hearing people talking. We felt like the woods was staring at us.
Wow.
And this, after talking to people, a lot of people experienced this at the Black Cross. Well, all of a sudden, everything went silent. And I look over and there's a stump and it has a red bow tied to it. And I'm like, Jen, look at this bow. And I turned back to it and it turned into a guy jumping out of the woods at me with his arms out like he was trying to grab me. And it was a full body apparition I saw jumping out of the woods at me. And I can remember him. He had the Flip It style hat on. His skin was ash color. He had a red shirt on and the old gray wool pants.
Oh, wow.
Second, it's one of them things just happens for a second. And
So
my
how
sister
did you react to that? I mean, and
said that I jumped about 3 foot. My adrenaline was pumping. Oh man. I
I bet. Huh.
I don't now I do admit I didn't have to go back to the hotel and change clothes, but we talk about attachments, and we went to the hotel or to the restaurant afterwards, and I look down and I see a tick walking on my arm, and I'm like, tick. So I poke that off, and a few seconds later I see another one, and I'm like, So we rushed back to the hotel. I actually took off my clothes outside the hotel, went in, took a hot shower, made sure that those clothes stayed outside, you know. So we talk about attachments. I got an attachment, but it was ticks from that.
Speaking of attachments, we seem to have had a hitchhiker from the 1861 Masonic Lodge.
Oh,
So we had a investigation / interview with John Bain. And well, this is towards the end. We were about to be done. We were down in the basement. And before we got to the base, we were going to the basement. I get to the door and Scott's like, wait. And I was like, it's the door when I stepped at a certain spot.
Mhm.
So we were downstairs and all of a sudden I hear that noise and we hear a loud noise after that. So I was like, that's the door. So we all go up. That basement door is open. We're all looking around to see if somebody snuck in because there's a bar grill next door. There's a bar across and people are always wondering about the building.
It was the main door, entrance door.
The main entrance door. Yeah. Walked past, the front door was wide open and got home. Last night I went to the garage to grab some drinks out of the fridge. I shut the door behind me always that leads from the house into the garage because I don't want the cats to get in there. And I'm opening the fridge. All of a sudden, the door opens up. So I thought it was Stella coming into the garage. And I was like, what the fuck? So I go inside the house. I'm looking around the kitchen, the living room, the hallway, and the kids aren't around. Derek's not around. So I shut the door. I was like, hey, Stella. She's like, yeah. I was like, did you just open the garage door? She's like, no. So I sat down on the couch. I was like, okay, somebody came and followed me from the lodge.
That's weird.
You need to go back.
Yeah.
You can't stay here. Sorry. So we'll see if they left or not because nothing's happened since I've been home tonight.
think about that. Poltergeist activities. If
Hey,
they
could
have
be-
enough power to move stuff, why don't they have enough power to clean the house? You know?
Right?
I'll tell you.
So you have your book that we've been kind of talking about. Well, we have been talking about like experiences, like, you know, and so where can everybody find that book? You have other books. You said you wrote how many?
Amazon. All my books are available on Amazon. My latest one is the UFO book, UFO Enigmas. But Shared Crossings is my baby. Like I said, it took me 3 years to write it. It's half the size of my new book, but a lot of this stuff is stuff I've learned over the years for the show, to where Shared Crossings is the actual experience that I've had. But like I said, all my books are available on Amazon. Just type in Joe Shortridge, it'll come up. And I also have my book about what you should do in the morning for my other show. Just like I said, I'm a life coach also, and I talk about body, mind, and wallet. Now that book there is all about self-help and stuff like that. But I do have
I like that.
books on the paranormal, and they're all available on Amazon. Our show is available on all the podcast outlets. We just got on Para X Radio, and we're also on 106.5 FM here in Toledo. But anywhere you get podcast from.
Nice.
And pick up my books and my sister's books at any show that we're at. Like I said, August 1st, Mortuary Manor here in Toledo. We're going to do a book show there. September, we have the Cleveland Paranormal Convention. And that's on the 12th. On the 19th, I have my notes in front of me here. On the 19th, we're in Detroit, Frankenfest. Then the 26th, we are going to be in Western Kentucky. So the books are available at the shows or on Amazon.
Nice.
Awesome.
Now, can people, you said you were a life coach. Do you do services online for anybody who's interested in needing some coaching?
I haven't done it in a while, but I'm always open to it.
Okay.
Yeah. I kind of shifted away from that for a little bit so I can focus on the paranormal show.
Right.
But I still
Right.
do my Year of Profit. It's called Year of Profit, which is my other podcast. I do that. That's kind of my hobby thing. Like I say, it's not doing as good as this show, but
Right.
I enjoy it, and I get to tell people what to do.
So what day do you have a set date and time for your podcast?
Yeah, the 222 Paranormal Podcast comes out every Sunday at 2:22. And Year of Profit comes out every Monday at 7 a.m.
Nice.
And they're audio shows, so you can listen and work or walk or whatever.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we have 537 episodes you can binge.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that's a lot. And I'm on
There's
one
a
of
little
them.
binge there.
So do you have any paranormal investigations coming up for the year or tonight?
Here, no. We really scaled back on our stuff. My sister fortunately had an opportunity with her job where she could sit and write a lot, but we really cut back. We were doing up to 3 conventions a month, and then also ghost hunting and stuff. But we kind of cut back on that. We're not doing as many because after a while, I mean, and I'm touring with the band, and you're like, "What city are we in?" You hear about that, and you think, "Oh, come on, I've done that. I've woke up. I'm like, what city are we in?"
You're in a band? I must have missed that.
No, my best friend is in a band that tours. My best friend Dana, she's in a band. It's called True Devil now. It was Dead in 5, and they got a new singer, so they changed the name. And I was touring with them. She calls me her road manager. I basically pay for the beer and stuff.
Nice.
Funny. That is funny.
But yeah,
He's the keeper of the beer.
yes.
Instead of the beekeeper, he's the beer keeper.
Yep.
I'm the one that goes into the venues at 11 a.m. and make sure everything's ready. Usually, load in is for a 11 o'clock show. Load in is usually around noon, 1 o'clock. So we have to load into the venues, do sound checks, light checks, all that. And the life of rock and roll is very boring. People think, "Oh my God, we're the first ones to get there and we're the last ones to leave,"
Yeah.
But no, we really cut back on our stuff with the paranormal of different conventions. We're going to be at a few. Like I said, we changed up a little bit. We're doing flea markets and stuff like that just to push our books more.
Right. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And if I update the website, it'll be available there.
Yes. And Jenny, you said there's a website that you have?
Huh? My audio keeps cutting in and out.
Yeah, you said you have a website that people can also go online? Or is it just Amazon?
Oh, you mean for the books? And
Yeah.
we do have 222paranormal.com, but
Okay.
I have not updated it in a long time. I need to do that. But the best thing is Amazon.
Okay.
Just type in Joe Shortridge and it'll come up.
Can we go just give us a little brief information about like UFOs and like how you got into that as far as like getting into you writing books about UFOs and stuff?
I was always interested in UFOs, even before I was interested in the ghosty side. And I'm so interested in space and stuff like that. And, after doing the show for a while, the different, because when we do the show every week, we have to learn about a different topic, so that we can put the show together. And a lot of people don't realize that when you're doing a podcast, an hour show, you're spending hours researching and then hours editing also on the front end and back end of it. And I learned so much, and I just learned a lot. So I put it all together that I could think of in the book. So that's
awesome.
it. The other books we're doing Frankenfest in Detroit, and it's called Fort Wayne. It's not Fort Wayne, Indiana. It's actual fort called Fort Wayne. So we did a show on that. I made a little book about that so I can sell it at the show, stuff like that. So it's a lot of knowledge that we learn every week. And I'm like, I might as well put it in the books. And that's what my sister did with her 300 books or whatever she wrote. She's got like 60 books out now. But it's a lot of knowledge that we learn along the way. We've been doing this for 11 years now. So I need to purge, get all this information out.
Awesome.
Another quick
We will
question. Have you ever seen a UFO?
No, I haven't. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. Okay. I'll make this as short as I can. We were up in Michigan at UFO Con, and our good friend, and you probably know him, had these goggles, military grade goggles.
Yeah. Those goggles.
Yeah. So we put them on, and I'll just say his name, Steve Ward. He works at the Mothman Museum now, but he did live up here. But Steve Ward had these glasses, and he put them on me. I looked up, and you would not believe all the stuff I saw moving around up there. And I mean, I know satellites. I watch satellites go over all the time, but these things stop, they move, they turn, they did, So maybe I did UFOs that time, but I've never actually looked out and saw one hovering or nothing like that.
That would be the day.
Our friend Jessie, she conducts CE5 experiments. So it would be cool if like all of us could get together with Jessie Hawthorne and CE5 experiment. Jenny, have you ever done one?
No.
Yeah,
I want to. I know Christopher Jensen does them at FCI and ISS.
Oh yeah, I've seen that too. That he does them too.
Yeah. He just started doing them last year, and he did one that he did 2 this past weekend and at ISS, and that was crazy. I heard.
Yeah, if anybody hasn't seen Project Hail Mary, go out and watch it. It's a pretty good one.
Yeah. Do you remember Michigan Paracon? God.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Funny story. When we were at Michigan Paracon, every time Jenny would walk past my table, I'd be like, Jenny, and she just kept on walking. She's like, who's that? Who's that weirdo talking to? But Andrea Perrin was out in the parking lot doing her thing where she comes in. I walk out there, and this lady's like, look at that UFO. It's been there since the whole time we come out. I'm like, that's Mars. She's like, no, it's UFO. I'm like, that's Mars. And she's like, no, look, it's been sitting there the whole night. I'm like, yeah, because it's Mars.
That's hilarious.
No, but seriously, it's crazy. Every event I go to, I swear I have my name yelled at me so many times, and I'm like, I don't know who you are. Stop.
Who's this weirdo?
That's funny.
Right? Well, it was funny because last year, Michigan Paracon, my good friend now, Heather, was there. And we had crossed each other so many times. Yeah. And then we met later in the year. We're like, we were there at the same time. Oh my God. And then like Dale Craigley like stopped me mid walk somewhere. And he goes, you're Jenny from Unturned Pages. Oh my God, I'm a huge fan. I'm like, okay, chill a little.
Yeah. Was saying that too. They at the Witches and Wellness Expo, they're like, wait, you're with Unturned Pages? I was like, yeah. I was like, oh, this is kind of different. I'm not used to get nice.
And it's funny because like at the Witches too, I ran into 2 or 3 people that I've made friends with being on here, with the girls, and I'm like, oh yeah, we talked on a podcast. And then we became friends. My bad. It's
so weird when people recognize you, because I'm so used to that with Dana. When we're on with the band, people are always seeing Dana. Oh, there's Dana. I'm like, yeah, that's her. That's my friend. And it's weird when people recognize you. I was in St. Thomas because we go to St. John's, and I was at the airport. I'm standing in line. I'm talking to my sister, and some girl's like, hey. I'm like, hi. She's like, are you Joe? I'm like, yeah. She's like, I love you. I love your show. I'm like, okay. It's kind of weird. Used to that.
Thanks, bye.
That's awesome.
It's funny because like I'm at work and I got my wristband on my computer and I
Yeah.
have followers and stuff from just being at work. But one time I was at work on the counter, some guy came in. I didn't recognize him. And yeah, I really didn't even know who he was, but he's like, your voice sounds familiar. And he's like, are you like on a podcast? And I'm like, yeah, I do Unturned Pages, you know. Sunday, he's like, dude, I follow that page. Yeah, I saw you. I remember that. And I'm like, I don't even know who this guy is. And I'm just like, I had just a little bit of, little fame glam, going on that day.
There we go. Eric with the golden voice.
Right. But
Yeah, it's crazy. But
I
we'll
usually-
definitely have to get you back on to talk UFOs
Yeah.
and your other books.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And
We
we're
have-
gonna do the C5 experiment together. All
Yeah.
of us.
Haven't even talked about the Newark Holy Stones, which might be my new book.
Oh, yeah.
Stay tuned for that.
We'll have to get you on that. And hopefully my computer won't be a POS.
We'll have to get out to Holy Toledo sometime. I've been wanting to say that since you first said Toledo. Like, 2 minutes in, I'm just so I had to get that out there.
Yeah.
Holy Toledo.
But thank you so much. This is so much fun.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to getting on the show for so long. And this is a blast. And thank you all.
Yes, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. We love talking with you. We're
Mhm.
definitely going to be doing another one. And like I said, we do the CE5. I don't know where you're at. Oh, wait. Holy Toledo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're our neighbor. So we'll definitely get together. Let's do like a 2027.
All right.
And we can do like the ISS, the CE5, and then investigate ISS because I've not been to ISS yet. Neither has any of our team members. Besides Jenny. of
Indiana
course.
State Sanatorium, yeah. But definitely have you come back on.
Yeah,
For sure.
definitely.
Sweet.
So thank you so much for coming on, everybody. Make sure that you go follow 222 Paranormal Podcasts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's Sundays at 2:22 that they come out with a new episode on all platforms, correct?
Anywhere you can get your podcast from.
Check out Joe Shortridge on Amazon for his books. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and call it a night. Thank you guys. Have a great night. See you next Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. See you later, Joe.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.